Good afternoon. Stanislav Sholomov. You can call me Stas. I'm the CTO of OpenGarden. A few of the things that I've done in the past was transport protocol work and QS work at Internet 2 and the design of a new congestion control in BitTorrent, which currently is responsible for somewhere about 1 in 6 bytes on the Internet, about 15% maybe.
So your background is really all about decentralized systems then?
Well, you could say that, yes.
So how did you find yourself going into mesh networks created by cell phones?
I was interested in creating mesh networks before there was the term mesh network. I was interested in making better routing, but there was not really yet a technology that would allow to connect devices in an ad hoc manner in, say, 2001. What you need are devices with heterogeneous wireless capabilities, and smartphones are the platform that allows to do that.
Now, when you say heterogeneous wireless capability, can you explain that?
On a phone, you have multiple wireless technologies. You have your 3G or 4G, you have Wi-Fi, you have maybe Wi-Fi Direct, you have Bluetooth, you have maybe NFC, and all of these things can be used to interconnect devices. And you can be using simultaneously multiple networks at the same time. And that's what allows to build this additional capability. The phone may be on 4G, but if there is another phone nearby that also is on its own carrier network, you might connect them locally using Wi-Fi Direct and create new capacity. These are our phones, and I am perhaps using my phone less than 1% of the time for data transmission. Same for you. So when I'm getting something from the internet, I can get it faster if I can go through both exits and more reliably.
You're saying that even though you might be connected in one capacity with one of those technologies, since each phone has multiple communication means and has the ability to use each one independently, then you can have interconnections that are completely separate from the upstream or downstream to the internet in this case. Is that right?
Exactly. So what OpenGarden does, we create all sorts of wireless connections. We support Bluetooth, Wi-Fi Direct. We aren't particularly concerned about the specific underlying technologies. So we will create these wireless connections between devices whenever they are nearby, wirelessly, seamlessly for the user. The user doesn't need to worry about establishing them. The user doesn't need to open the app. Once connected, devices will access the internet collectively using whatever internet capacity they together have. This produces better statistical multiplexing. This gives everybody faster speed, better coverage.
That's really interesting. Have you touched the router space at all, or is it entirely about phones?
We leverage existing infrastructure and things that already exist and can be used. We address the mass market. So we want the kind of adoption that successful peer-to-peer applications have, not just addressing small audience of people who are willing to flash a new ROM to their Linksys, but people who can install a mobile app. And there are a lot more people who can install a mobile app. We currently support Android, Windows, and Mac. The computers also have ability to use multiple networks at once these days. We have dual Wi-Fi radios in many computers, and additionally we have Bluetooth.
Let's take a step back for a second. OpenGarden, how did this come about? You said that you've been interested in mesh networks before they were called mesh networks and before the technology was there to do it. What occurred to incite the creation of OpenGarden?
Misha and I got together about 2010, and the enabling technology for OpenGarden is the smartphone, the computer inside everybody's pocket with multiple radio interfaces that makes OpenGarden possible and interesting. Before the smartphone, the density of mobile laptops, for example, was not sufficient to make a difference for internet access through other devices. And when you are at home or at the office and your laptop is on local Wi-Fi, the need for internet access is less acute. The need for internet access is the most acute the worse your internet connection is. And generally, mobile situations, travel, being on mobile networks is where your need for better internet access faster and in more places is the most visible.
So you started in 2010. What has the journey been? Are you out in the wild with this now?
When we started, we wanted to first test the waters with a minimal viable product. So what we did was release an app that simply provided tethering. Just let you turn your phone into a mobile hotspot. We wanted to see what would be the uptake. We didn't do anything to promote this app, and it required you to root your Android phone. So it was addressed to a small audience of people capable of rooting their phone, and there was no marketing. By the time we had 500,000, we knew that we were onto something. We thought that people want this. So we started full-time work with Greg Hazel and Misha Benolio on making this current app, the real OpenGarden mesh networking app. We've launched it at TechCrunch Disrupt in New York in 2012. The first 3 weeks, we got 100,000 downloads. By now, the two apps together have more than 2.5 million downloads. We like to release our software early so that we can see how it behaves in the wild. In general, development for Android is made difficult by the diversity of the Android ecosystem. Our software runs on devices that we've never seen and never will. So it's important to have a user base to be able to even develop the software.
You've got 2.5 million downloads. What does the use look like? I mean, is this working? Is this being used? Are there any geographies specifically where it's used, or is it more of like a ad hoc, as needed, people will get it and then they'll throw up a temporary net wherever they are? Or is it something that people walk around with on their phones and just are kind of using in day-to-day yet? Or are we to that point?
It's a particular situation where OpenGarden today makes probably the biggest difference is tablets, particularly 7-inch tablets. People with a Nexus 7 or a Samsung Galaxy Tab without a 3G connection and a highly portable tablet are in a strange position, right? You have this device. It can go in your coat pocket. It can go, if you carry a purse, in your purse. It's really portable, but it is practically useless without an internet connection, and it doesn't have a 3G modem. And even if it did, it would cost $120, probably extra, and you would need to pay $20 a month to be able to use the internet from it. What OpenGarden does is basically give you the benefit of having a 3G connection on your tablet for free. Because if you have an Android tablet, chances are you also have an Android phone. And you probably carry it with you at least as much as you carry your tablet.
The Android phone provides the connectivity for the tablet, and you only need to carry one internet-connected device in order to benefit on both.
Correct.
So even though this is a mesh network building tool, what it's being used for now is to build little personal. I mean, it's not even really mesh. It's more like a wireless tether or something.
The experience is far better than using wireless tethering. The experience of using wireless tethering requires you to take out your phone, go into settings, tap more, go into tethering, turn it on, go to your tablet now, connect to the right network, and when you're done, remember to turn off the tethering hotspot on your phone, otherwise your battery will be dead in 2 hours. With OpenGarden, you use the internet like you normally do. You take your tablet and you use it for whatever it was you were going to use it, instead of fiddling with settings on your phone.
Does it have an impact on battery life in the same way that the wireless tether would?
Lower than wireless tethering.
The name OpenGarden, you guys are not an open source software project, are you?
Our main app is currently not open source.
Is that
where you...
Well, I mean, it was confusing to me. When I first started talking to Paige about OpenGarden, I assumed that it was open source. Do you have intentions to make it open source, or is this aimed to be a proprietary platform?
Greg and I have created open source software currently used by 250 million people in the form of the BitTorrent transport library. Interested in making open source software widely available and successful. We've also created open protocols, several between the two of us, by now standardized. The application OpenGarden is not open source. It's open in the sense of anybody being able to join the network. It's a garden that anybody can walk into. Hopefully it's open windows don't confuse people similarly. I'm expecting to be able to get the source for the window But we are interested in open source in general and how we can make OpenGarden more successful using it. But we're not yet prepared to discuss anything about our future moves with open source and OpenGarden.
Fair enough. On the show, we have a focus on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. It's not just Bitcoin, but it's cryptocurrencies and kind of the things that they enable. And one of the things that we've been talking about on and off with regards to mesh networks or Tor nodes, or there's a variety of situations. In your tablet phone scenario, that's one person who is gaining benefit from utilizing one service that would normally be available on one device on two devices. So I see the value in it there. But with cryptocurrencies and automated contracts, basically, you can set it up so that individual nodes that provide internet connection or service within one of these mesh networks are compensated on a as used basis. And I'm wondering, have you looked at cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin for doing anything like this, or is it outside the scope of your project?
We are interested in exploring ways to limit free riding on the system. The system is at its most efficient when it doesn't deny people its service. It creates the maximum amount of value. That's generally good. That generally is how things should be. If you look at design of BitTorrent, partly it was successful because you can download even before you've uploaded. If there were more stops to being able to use the system, then fewer people would benefit from it. The problem, to the extent that it exists here, is preventing people who perpetually free ride from doing so. And for now, the main mechanism by which that is accomplished is the need for physical proximity. If you install OpenGarden to be able to get connectivity from others, you also contribute by nature of the software, if you are internet connected at all. So there is a contract of mutual help by virtue of installing OpenGarden. We have also thought about making credit ecosystem. It might convert to real currency or might not. And whether real currency is a cryptocurrency or another form of distributed currency or dollars is not really the interesting part. Conversion to real currency is, however, different from simply byte accounting, and byte accounting can well be sufficient. So we're not yet sure how we would approach this problem in the future. But for now, we, in practice, don't have that problem. If you install OpenGarden today, nobody will follow you around trying to use your internet constantly.
So if someone wants to get involved with OpenGarden or download the application, do you have a website?
Yes, of course. We are available from opengarden.com, and the app is also available in Google Play Store, where it's called OpenGarden, just like you'd expect.
Do you have any intentions of rolling out to iOS devices, or is this going to be a strictly Android project?
We don't have current plans that we can disclose about iOS. Obviously, we're very interested in all platforms, not just Android, and we already have support for 2 desktop operating systems. But we have to focus our efforts somewhere, and that's where we've chosen to focus for now.
Stas, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You're listening to Let's Talk Bitcoin, the premier audiocast providing news and insights that cover the rapidly evolving world of digital money. Our twice-weekly shows include analysis of late-breaking news, updates on key technical, business, and regulatory issues, and in-depth interviews with the key people driving the new digital economy. Let's Talk Bitcoin offers sponsors an attractive way to reach a targeted and savvy audience. For more information, email sponsors@letstalkbitcoin.com.